Hey, shalom, shalom, shalom. This is Naaman with the DC Camp, Branch of Great Millstone, back for another video. First and foremost, Barakah Yahweh, Barakah Yahweh Shai, Barakah Yahweh, Barakah Yahweh Shai, Barakah Yahweh, Barakah Yahweh Shai, Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai, Ba'ashem Rakah. Alright, double honors go out to the apostles, the bishops, and elders of Great Millstone who are well. Salutations go out also to the fellow Akim that are out there on the highways and byways and Aquath that watch. What we're doing here is pushing the truth out across the four corners. All right. And we're in this fourth quarter now, the fourth quarter push, as I put it, because these devils are speeding things up. You know, Revelation 12 and 12, right? He knoweth he hath but a short time. All right. He sees that proverbial writing on the wall. All right. He knows, yeah, his time is short. So just as prophecy has always dictated, going right along according to schedule. All right. So here we are with the Jimmy Dore Show, his podcast here, and he's going into what we have always known, that October, hey, it's 60 days plus, or around 60 days until the 2-year anniversary of that bullshit kicking off. All right, and this has been out there as far as information goes. It's just a lot of you, for reasons, have chose to ignore it, and I'm talking about you so-called Christians. I'm talking about you Jakes at that. You want to please your so-called white daddy so bad, these so-called white nationalists who call themselves Christians, and you want to follow right along, all right, and play this game like, you know, you support these people just slaughtering the inhabitants of that land over there, even though it's not rightfully theirs either. But still, these people can't fight back. What kind of cowards are you supporting? It's the same people, whether it be here, their ancestors that were here in America, in Spain, Portugal, wherever they are, wherever they were. It's the same people. We've always tried to tell you that. So it's no surprise to us, you know, seeing the actions of these Israelis, because they're all Edomites, whether they call themselves French, German, Norwegian, whatever, Danish. Hell, you got a lot of that. Who do you think those people in South Africa? It's the same bloodline. All right. So here, let's go ahead and roll this video. What we have here is IDF soldiers, you know, coming and saying, you know, this is fucked up. You know, we're just telling you this is what we were ordered to do. Again, following orders. Where have you heard that before? The irony, right? And how this is all set up. Here we go.
All stations, I don't know why, I don't know how, something along those lines. No patrol on the fence. And this is at 5:20 in the morning. All stations are to hold their positions. And sure enough, an hour later, at 6:30 a.m., suddenly sirens. So you know how we said October 7th, when Hamas attacked Israel, that was actually at least half engineered by Benjamin Netanyahu, because he made sure that Hamas, which is the way more radical and militant group in Palestine, was the one that was funded over the PLO, which were secular and not as militaristic. So he wanted to make sure Hamas was propped up so that they could always say, we can't negotiate, they're terrorists. So he made sure they kept funding Hamas and not the PLO. And so when the attack happened, where were they? Where the most surveilled place in the world is Gaza, and Israel didn't respond for hours and hours to the attacks.
Tiny Israel, not a lot of distance to drive.
That's a very tiny
country. The IDF
country.
told the ravers to go ahead. It's totally cool to rave next to the concentration
That's
camp.
right. Even though the security people warned the Israel military we shouldn't have this rave, They said, go ahead with it, because they wanted this to happen so they could use this as a pretext, the October 7th attack.
Which lines up perfectly with a woman. You'll never hear this probably again. I recorded it somewhere. I got it somewhere. Let's see. She gave an interview shortly thereafter when they talked about this attack. And she was like, that's not what happened. And she talked about a crossfire, right? Well, he just said there they got permission to hold a rave. What is a rave? For those of you that don't know. As soon as this loads. A rave is a dance party at a warehouse, club, or other public or private venue, typically featuring performances by DJs playing electronic dance music. All right, just in general. All right, so you got all this commotion, all this noise, people having fun. This was all set up, and they were the sacrifice. All right. Simple as that.
Acts to go in and wipe out the people of Gaza and take over their land. That's what this was always about.
Israelis know this, by the way, but they'll hide it from you because they still want your money.
So here, Israel Exposed tweets out this video of this IDF soldier telling the truth about it. He says that we received orders from the Golani Brigade commander on October 7th to cancel all patrols along the Gaza border from 5:20 a.m. to 9 a.m. Israeli soldier testifies to the Knesset committee. So they were told to stand down. And let's listen to it. So I'm just going to play this. News Fist Happening TV got the English translation of this. So you can turn this down and I'll just say it. So 6:30 in the morning on October 7th, you're at the outpost. For us, October 7th starts before 6:30, says this guy.
I never thought I'd need to protect my wallet during Sunday service until this happened. Unfortunately, this is the new reality.
I was a soldier in the mortar platoon of the Golani Brigade's 13th Battalion. And that night, myself, Yoram Sur, and Sergeant Tamar Ben Yehuda, may he rest in peace, the three of us were pulling an all-nighter. On Sabbath and holidays, we let ourselves pull an all-nighter until the dawn stand to. And you know, we in the mortar platoon have time to sleep until the next stand to. So at 5:20 a.m., we were sitting by the radio so as not to wake the radio operator. And my deputy battalion commander, who was also seriously injured, and thank God he survived, suddenly gets on the radio with a strange message. All stations, I don't know why, I don't know how, something along those lines. No patrol on the fence. And this was at 5:20 in the morning. All stations are to hold their positions. So in terms of ground forces, we don't have anything. Hang on, let me back this up. So in terms of ground forces and OREV, we don't have anything significant. The brigade issued a directive for our forces pending a situation assessment until 9 a.m. So they're given a directive to stand down. Don't go do your patrols. Why would they do that? Wait, I can't.
There's a bunch of them saying it.
What's that?
There's a bunch of IDF saying this when this happened. This is the most surveilled place on earth.
Yes.
How in the hell would this happen? It's all people in the IDF going, what is this?
What exactly? So no vehicle is to approach Burma. I'll say it again. Until 9 in the morning, pending the situation assessment, no vehicle is to go down to Burma. We're in rear staging areas. A brigade level arrangement. I don't know exactly why. I don't ask too many questions. That's the directive. That's what we do. A little before it all begins, and Tomer gives us this look like, what? And you know, we're simple soldiers, just combatants, not commanders or officers who can ask questions. So when they were given this directive to not do your patrol and stand down, they were looking at each other like, what? But they're not officers, so they just have to follow orders. That's what he's saying. It's an order from the deputy. It's an order from the deputy battalion chief.
The reason I'm laughing, the irony in all this is, if you remember anything about the Nuremberg trials and The Nazis, what were they? They said, we were just following orders, right? Yeah, okay.
But deputy battalion commander, we take orders and don't ask questions. A routine passing of an order. And sure enough, an hour later, at 6:30 a.m., suddenly sirens. I've been living with this since October 7th. That's what he says. And I was very afraid to talk about this. And when I got to the Knesset, which is like the Israeli parliament, when I got to the Knesset, it was after a period when I asked some senior army officers what actually happened. And there were some who initially told me, listen, there was a sniper threat from Nukba on the fence. So we didn't want to send soldiers so they wouldn't get hit. So that's a lie. And then over time, it kind of dawned on me. And I said, wait, if there's a sniper threat, how can it be that how about it be that I, who am only 200 meters from the fence, how can it be that I am only 200 meters from the fence, don't know that there's a threat? So if there really is a threat, I would be the first guy to know this.
Yeah, you would think. You're right there.
How can it be that my friends are fighting without a vest? So we should have bulletproof vests in their underwear and socks. And nobody knows that something, hang on, I gotta back it up. And nobody knows that something is happening. We're only 200 to 300 meters from the fence. And then that was on my mind again. And really, I was suddenly invited to the Knesset. I felt that this was the real opportunity to open this subject and talk about it and to actually understand what happened there. And look, like you're saying, to a lot of people, it sounds strange. And what actually happened there. And we're going back to this again. And I'll be honest, Hilla, he says, I've been living with this, some kind of hole in my brain since October 7th. That something in my heart feels to me that, listen, I don't know what was there. I want to understand what happened like everyone. Look, the deputy battalion commander wasn't a sniper threat because the deputy battalion commander says, I have no idea why. And a sniper threat happens many times. He says this in real time. At 5:20 in the morning. It's not like someone told him to say that. He received an order without an explanation. And it's right. So we as soldiers, when we hear this thing, then of course we follow orders. It did sound a little strange to us, but soldiers in the field, and we've been on this line for almost half a year, and a few losses here and there, you know, from a loss to October 7th. There are cool losses, yes, from breaches of order. Right, from breaches of order to a situation, to events like those of October 7th. We're talking here about, you know, something that's surreal, that's very extreme. To think that one day we would get to this, to think, have you talked amongst yourselves since, he's asked. He says, after it was published, so whoever was there, did you talk amongst yourselves, the rest of you? And he says, so of course we talked about it. We talked about it many times, and we tried to look into it. And I told you what all sorts of military people told me. I thought many times about talking about it, not talking about it, and at some point I also started to deny my own logic. Wait, if they tell me there's no sniping, as you say, how is there a threat? If he said, I don't know why and how, and also, you know, I said, maybe, I don't know, maybe it was that, and suddenly the recording came out. You know, I have a responsibility here. I can't talk about something like that on television. And there are consequences to what I say. So suddenly this thing popped up, and this recording was published. And what can I tell you? Like me, like you, like all the people of Israel, I want to understand what happened on October 7th. I lost many, many friends. I was seriously injured. Every day I meet with the families, with the parents. And really, you don't know how painful it is to handle it and support them. And people see me, Shalom, the ones who lifted the wounded. They don't know how many things I'm trying to do. I wake up to a war every day. I'm trying to reinvent myself. I'm trying to help these families. Every day is a war in itself. Also fighting without a leg.
Oh.
Yes, the injury, exactly. And also to reinvent yourself. To move forward in life, not to dwell on this. So I guess he's missing a leg. You know, in the end, I was given my life. I also need to move on with my life. I can't stay stuck in the same place. I'm missing a leg, poor me. I want to understand what happened there. And suddenly this thing that came out, this statement, I don't know what statement he's talking about. It scares me a lot. I hope we all have clearer answers later on. And not to jump to conclusions and not to worry an entire country. But it is very important that there are unequivocal answers here. And whoever needs to pay a price should pay the price. So many murdered and kidnapped. It's something that I, as a soldier who served in the Gaza sector, I'm telling you, for every little thing, we would jump to the fence. Every little thing, they would jump to the fence. For every little thing. It scares me. It scares me to think what happened there. So he's saying, so you can turn
this
Kurt
young
up.
man's hole.
What's that?
Can I just fill this young man's hole in real quick? That came out wrong, but he said he has a hole in his brain from thinking about it.
Yeah.
So let me explain to this guy. Your leaders sacrificed your friends and your leg.
That's
you
right.
go.
Bibi Netanyahu wouldn't go to prison.
There you
That's
go.
right.
Because they're scumbags and they don't care about you, and that's why they have you guarding a concentration camp, except on the days when they tell you to stand down so you could be killed by the people from the concentration camp that they armed to make this happen.
Yes, that's exactly right. So Benjamin Netanyahu made sure Hamas got armed, made sure they got money from Qatar, made sure that they were propped up instead of the PLO, which was was less violent, not terrorist. And then they told you to stand down so that the people that they armed, Hamas, could then attack you and kill a bunch of your friends and people, so they could use that to A, keep Benjamin Netanyahu out of prison, and B, so they could then take over Gaza and steal all their land. That's what this is about. So you were lied to again. It's not a complete false flag, but it's very close.
Yeah, well, I mean, a false flag means what? They just attack the.
So a
they
false
make it look
flag
somebody-
is when they. So it would be like if Israel attacked Israel and blamed it on
Right.
Hamas, but it was actually Hamas. But they were
Right.
funded by Israel and armed by Israel,
So
and then they were allowed to make that attack because the orders came down
By
to
its own
stand down.
proxy. Wow.
You know, in the war
So
on terror, we would say they did it. In
Yeah.
the war on terror, if Israel funded Hamas,
Yeah.
we would say
We would-
Israel
that's
caused
right.
it, and we would freeze their bank accounts, I thought, for the war on terror.
Yeah.
Right?
So they use the same logic why Iran is our enemy, because they are supposedly funding terror groups. Well, Israel funded Hamas, so we should cut off Israel. They should be responsible. So if
Yeah.
we hold Iran,
Which again goes to show the level of hypocrisy by the United States when it comes to its masters, and that is Israel. You people bought into this Russiagate bullshit when the real nation that was interfering in everything and still interferes in everything, America, is Israel, a foreign country. You've been dealing with this for 63 years. Yeah, that's right. 63 years as of May of this year, when Kennedy tried to get those bastards to register as foreign agents. It got so bad that Kennedy, going at it with, who's the prime minister then, David Ben-Gurion, that in June of 63, he resigned all of a sudden. Like, fuck it. All right, because he wanted them to be under the, the Atomic Energy Administration when they do these inspections for nuclear weapons. And Israel, like, what, us? What, you want us? No. That was June of 63. Also that year, Kennedy was messing around with the Federal Reserve, in that he wanted to, what was it, the $2 bill denomination, and it was something else. Was it be everything to be backed by silver? I can't remember exactly. But Executive Order 11110, that's 4 ones and a 0. And of course, November 22nd of that year, what happens? Yeah. I'm not saying anything. But highly suspicious. But anyway, back to this. Here we have this, and I'm going to say it, rogue nation, and that's exactly what they are. Nothing but thieves and and whatever else comes out, you know. And they don't fit the prophecies. That's the main thing. They do not fit the prophecies. Let's go, because certain things were supposed to happen, prophecy. Let's go to the second book of the law, Deuteronomy. Let's go on down to, let's see, 27. All right, 28 is what and 29 is what I'm concentrating on. It says, Israel then shall dwell, and this is Moses, shortly before he, was taken away. He's telling his people, and this is prophecy. And of course, he knew that Israel was going to go off, but that's neither here nor there in this. He says, Israel then shall dwell in safety alone. Now you got to ask yourself, are they dwelling in safety alone? Nope. The fountain of Jacob shall be upon a land of corn and wine. Is that land, you have to ask yourself, is it abundant with crops and, things of that nature? No. They have to import stuff in. That land is cursed. Also, his heavens shall drop down dew. Happy art thou, O Israel, who is like unto thee, O people saved by the Most High Yahweh. The shield of thy help, and who is the sword of thy excellency, and thine enemies shall be found liars unto thee, and thou shalt tread upon their high places. Now, they're the ones being found out to be liars. All right? They're the ones. Think about that. All right? All kinds of prophecies. Let's go to Isaiah 2nd chapter. All right? When Israel is, all right, people are supposed to flock to the real Israelites for wisdom and knowledge. This is Isaiah 2:1. The word of Isaiah the son of Amos saw concerning Judah and Jerusalem. And it shall come to pass in the last days, this is prophetic, that the mountain or the governments of the Most High Yahweh's house shall be established in the top of the mountains. So they're going to be the head of all these other governments. And shall be exalted above the hills, and all nations shall flow unto it. And many people shall go and say, Come ye, and let us go up to the mountain of the Most High Yahweh, to the house of the God of Jacob, and he will teach us of his ways. Is anybody doing that? No, they're doing the exact opposite. And he will, and we will walk in his paths, for out of Zion shall go forth the law, and the word of the Most High Yahweh from Jerusalem. Instead, we have it all twisted. We have it all twisted. These so-called white nationalists, supposed Christians, these white supremacists, because that's all it is. And you jakes in these churches, all right, not realizing, or probably not even caring for the most part. And you have people, you have plenty of videos that go into detail about as to how these are not the people, and they can prove it through scripture. It really is sad, because what else can we call you but zombies? Because you're dead from the neck up. You know, Proverbs 21:16, that's what you are. So ain't nobody gonna pity you. The same thing in Micah here. Let's go. It says, the word of the Lord came to Micah, the Morashite, in the days of Jotham, Ahaz, and Hezekiah, kings of Judah, which he saw concerning Samaria. All right. Let's see. Hold on. 4. And this is just a repeat of Isaiah 2, basically. All right. With the exception of 3, because it goes into greater detail. And he shall judge many nations and people, and rebuke strong nations afar off, and they shall beat their swords into plowshares and their spears into pruning hooks. Nation shall not lift up a sword against nation, neither shall they learn war anymore. Are we in at that stage, at that point? No, not yet. So that means those can't be the people. They're frauds. They're bastards, as it says here in Zechariah 9:6. What's a bastard? Well, let's look it up. Let's look it up. What is a bastard? Slocky, please give it a little time, because I'm running a Come on now. That's why I like to also, in times such as these, I like to have offline software where, oh boy. Hold on just a second. Hold on. All right, let's try this. Bastard. Person born of unmarried parents, an illegitimate child, a mean, despicable person. They would, okay, that part is true. Something spurious or inferior. Illegitimate, or is it 5 made or done in imitation, spurious, false. And that's what they are. All right, let's see, it's going down. All right, let's see. Oh my goodness, under the first one. Good Lord. A son of a bitch, a whore's son. And I'm saying the somewhat nice ones. All right, let's see. Let's see, that's not what I'm looking for. Let's see. Here it is, number 3, bastard, derogatory term for a variation that is not genuine, something irregular or inferior or of dubious origin. All right. In other words, a fraud. All right, which goes down as an adjective, bastard, fraudulent, having a misleading appearance. Zechariah 9:6. Let's go there. See, this is what Great Millstone does. You have to go into these words. Zechariah 9:6. And a bastard shall dwell in Ashdod, and I will cut off the pride of the Philistines. Here it is. Bastard, not the rightful heir. vile, and low men, such as are bastards. That's Edom. That's Job 30th chapter. All right. They are base people, whether they call themselves German, Norwegian, Danish, whatever. All right. There you go.
Iran responsible, we should hold them responsible. So let's see. I have another. So original Polywog says it seems like the leadership called the patrols to clear them out, which allowed the enemy to penetrate the border. You have to ask yourself, why would the leadership do this? Anyone with half a brain knows this was a red flag event in order to justify the genocide of Palestine and flatten their whole country. Anyone with half a brain knows. You could have a hole in your brain, like this guy claims he has, and you would know that this was a red flag event.
False flag.
What's that?
What's a red flag?
I don't know.
A false flag.
This never made sense to me about October 7th, this guy says. Israel has the most secure, most armed, and the most high-tech border surveillance system in the world. They can detect a bug approaching the border from 5 miles away. Yet Hamas, with loud and
yeah, they did all of that to justify killing tens of thousands of these people who can't defend themselves properly. Yeah. Think about that. And they rule over here. When it comes to these elections, now they just came out that these states in the U.S. that think about boycotting Israel in business dealings, you don't get any disaster funding. That just came down. You get no disaster relief funding if you criticize or boycott Israel. Why do you think they're deporting these students on these visas? But what about the First Amendment? Why is another country dictating what happens over here in America? And these people are just asleep. They don't realize what's just around the corner, what's at the door. Wow. All concerned about bullshit.
paragliders slipped in without a problem, it's because that was a design. That plan was designed to let them slip in and to do this. That's why. So that's why that soldier is like, I don't know what happened. We were all looking, why wouldn't, what? When there's a sniper, well, we would know. I'm right here. I would know if there's a sniper. How do they know? They're not here. I'm here.
And then the Hannibal directive took care of the, because those cars didn't blow up from no hang glider guns.
That's right.
Okay, so there were way too many hostages taken for their liking because they would have tried to kill every last hostage before they let Hamas take them.
That's right.
And they're going to starve their own hostages to death now.
Yes. Well,
well, maybe he'll put it together one day, this kid.
So maybe that soldier will put it together. It sounds like he has put it together, but he doesn't want to. He says, I'm even doubting my own logic. Yeah, well, you shouldn't.
Yeah. It's very strong programming, I bet.
Yeah, it is very strong. What's he going to...
So there you have it. That's basically it. I mean, it's all right there for you to see if, again, your eyes are open, which this guy is, it's buffering right now, but he was saying he was questioning his, or he dared to question what he was really thinking. And, like this other guy said in the inset, he said he should let that just flow, they don't want to believe that, you were sacrificed. They don't want to believe it. How could they? Yeah, well, even over here, think of the USS Liberty in '67. They allowed, the U.S. government, with President Johnson, they allowed for the Israelis to try to sink a ship, a U.S. ship, And those survivors of the USS Liberty to this day are speaking about that. Like, damn, man, can't you? Wow. Just wow. So, yeah, that's going to be it for this. As I like to say at the end of these videos, I hope whoever views these, or this video in particular, has been edified. Because, hey, it's more to come when it comes to even your politicians. You think that, or for you, no. Where do you think a lot of those politicians down in Texas went? I mean, not Texas, but when they shut down, I'm talking about here in D.C., when they shut down, there's some shit going on down in Texas. That's why I jumped there. But anyway, when they shut down, went in recess, where do you think a lot of the politicians went to? They went over there to Israel. You got this AIPAC lobby, and a lot of them are in the pockets of these Israelis. This is a foreign nation, all right, since you all like to talk all that shit, all right, a foreign nation that controls your politics. But because it's Israel, oh, well, we will let that slide. Man, this place got to go. And it is. It is. So with that, hey, yeah, it's a lot of shit going on, but you know, that's why it's a good thing, because this place got to go. So until next video, hey, again, remain circumspect, all right, especially now. Be conscious of your surroundings. All right, so with that, shalom.